The time has come. You maybe already know it. It might be time to fire that client. Or maybe you're not sure if it's time. In this video, I'm gonna give you signs to let you know if it's time to fire a client. If you haven't met me, my name is Abbey Ashley, and here on our channel, we talk about how to work from home as a virtual assistant. If you're interested in working from home, you should definitely subscribe to my channel and click the link to be notified every time I go live with a new video. All right, let's get to it. Here are the 8 signs it may be time to fire a client. Sign number 1, you hate doing the work that the client needs you to do. This may not be personal at all. Maybe you've just found yourself in a situation where you don't enjoy the work that you're doing anymore with the client that you've signed. Your business should always be transitioning and pivoting. And if you've come upon a service that you don't like anymore, and that's the only service that your client needs, it's okay to rip the Band-Aid and say, hey, I don't offer this service anymore, and move on to a client that's hiring you to do a service you actually love to do. Sign number 2, if the client doesn't respect your time. Now, it's really important when you are first starting your business to have super clear boundaries about your time. This may look like saying I respond to emails within 24 hours. It may look like you not giving them your phone number and saying we can communicate over Slack or over Voxer. There's a lot of ways that you can draw those lines. If your client is pushing those pre-established boundaries, especially when it comes to your time, that is a very big warning sign. Sign number 3, your client isn't respecting the scope of the project. This is what we call scope creep, and it's not something you want to happen. If you are hired to do a particular thing, and it should be outlined in your contract what you are hired to do, and your client is constantly trying to get you to do more things without paying you for them, big red flag. This may be a sign that this is not the right client for you. Sign number 4, they want things that you cannot give them. If your client is constantly asking you to do things that are beyond your abilities, this may not necessarily be a red flag right away, but it could be. Is what your client is asking you to do something that you want to learn, that you're willing to learn? Even better, is it something that your client is willing to pay you to learn? This could be a good thing. But if they're constantly trying to get you to learn new programs that you don't want to learn, trying to get you to work on projects that you're not equipped and you don't feel confident in and you don't want to learn how to do, you can say, hey, this just may not be a good fit. Sign number 5, you're losing money on the client. Maybe you signed a client right when you started your business and you were charging a really, really low rate. If that client isn't willing to continue to work at the rate where you are at now, this might be a sign that they're not really valuing your work. Now, when it comes to raising your rate, I do recommend that you wait 3 to 6 months after working with a client before you do decide to raise your rate. It really gives them the ability to say, hey, I know that you are worth this and you definitely deserve that rate increase, right? And they're more willing to come along with you on the journey. But sometimes you just know it's time for me to raise my rates and my client isn't going to move to that next package with me. It may be time for you to go ahead and let go of this client, or maybe just refer them to somebody else. Sign number 6 is if your client is really wearing down you or your team's morale. Let's face it, there's a difference between having a bad day and having a consistent bad attitude or just flat out being rude. I have a no tolerance policy when it comes to rudeness. And if your client is rude with you, done deal, we're not gonna work together anymore. Sign number 7, your client isn't reliable. This unfortunately happens more often than I would like to see. You start working with a client and you're constantly asking them questions about what about this project, give me more details, I need more information, and they just completely ghost you, or they're unresponsive, or they give you half of an answer but not the rest of the answer. It drives me crazy. And if you just find yourself and it's just not a right fit, your working styles don't work together, it's okay to acknowledge that and to potentially move on from that client. Sign number 8, your client isn't paying. Dun, dun, dun. No, this is really bad. If your client isn't paying your invoices and you sent them repeated reminders, they constantly don't pay on time, that's not a stress that you need to handle in your business. And remember, you do have the right to go ahead and let go of a client or not continue doing any work until your invoice is paid. If that's your situation, big, big, big red flag. You might be listening to this list and saying, oh no, Abby, now I realize I need to fire a client and I don't know how to do that. Well, don't worry. I have a blog post for you. I'm gonna go ahead and link to it below. You can go and see what the best way is to go about this in a way that is professional and kind, but still gets you past your client and onto a newer, better one. You make me want to throw my laptop out the window, pretend that I'm sick, avoid your phone calls, break our contracts because you a tyrant, because you a bugger client, a bugger client. I can tell you've been living under a rock because these 10-page emails have got to stop because you a bugger client. You bugging what? You bugging who? My time ain't free, so don't you see it ain't cool? Thou shalt not renew our retainer.